Hello people of YouTube and welcome to another tutorial for Photoshop. I'm still ashamed of my mustache, so I don't want to show my face on camera, so I'll just make a thing that you don't look at me for. Yay. So this tutorial is going to be all about the text tool, and I know you're all thinking, Ryan, I know how to use the text tool. I'm not an idiot. But then if you weren't, then you wouldn't have clicked on a tutorial about the text tool, would you? Unless you're an adoring fan and you just watch anything that features moi. But, okay, let's get on with it. So, first thing that you need to know about the text tool is how to fucking select it. So, it's either T on the keyboard or click this icon here. It's not that hard. If your computer freezes for like half a second or more, that's normal. If a little box might come up saying initializing text tool, it'll only do that the first time you select the text tool, and it will come back unless your computer is made in the 80s and it crashes. But then shut up. This tutorial will be of no use to you because you can't use the text tool. So once you got the text tool, there are two ways to start typing. You can either click or you can click and drag. Click will just give you a little line you can start typing. Click and drag will give you a boundary box like this, so you can see where your text is going to be. Now, there's different reasons for using either. Clicking's quicker and you can get going, but the boundary box I prefer because it kind of gives you a rough guide of where you're going to be typing. So I currently have this set to middle, but we'll start over here. First of all, you've got horizontal or vertical. So you can either start typing vertically like that, or you can start typing normally. I very rarely use horizontal. No, vertical. I don't use vertical at all. It's useless. I mean, you're not going to find many uses for it. It's annoying to read, so I don't use it. Then you've got your font. I have a couple of just kind of downloaded ones for various purposes. There's one that I like I was using earlier that I shall use for this because it's a good example for one of the later tools as well. If I can find it. Welcome to this tutorial of me scrolling. Anyway, then you can type, and as you can see, font changes. If you want to add new fonts, you just add them, install them into your computer through Microsoft Windows or whatever operating system you're using. MacFag. So they will automatically come up in Photoshop. So don't worry about adding them to Photoshop. They appear automatically. Next, you've got this little thing, which is, I don't think you can use it unless you're using a standard. No. I'm not even going to bother talking about that because I've never touched it. So you probably won't either. Then you've got your font size, which you will be using. You can just select a couple, but obviously at some point, depending on the size, you're going to have to go past 72. So you can just either type it in, or if you're actually unsure of what size you're going to be using, you can just highlight and click on it, and then use the directional buttons to go up or down, which is useful. So that's how you change your size. Then you've got this thing, which I don't know what it's called, but basically it messes around with your text, and you'll probably never use it. I mean, I only figured out what it does today because I thought about, should I teach this? But that's why I use this font, because there's actually a pretty big difference when you change it. So we'll leave it on smooth because it looks the nicest. Then you've got your alignment. The standard ones that are up here in the toolbar are left, right, and centered. So you can pick those. Those are left. Those aren't justified, by the way. I'll explain what that means later. But then there's your color, which I've set to orange because of my earlier project. You just pick that like you're picking your color in any other part of Photoshop. Then you've got this, which is basically, I'll change to another text. Basically, it's this. I'll show you what it means. Alright, tutorial. It's text warping So basically, it lets you pick a style, and you can see, it lets you mess around with that style. To be honest, I think it looks childish and stupid. It's a lot like word art, and you could do this with transform, free transform tool, and you could do it a lot better with that tool. So I would never use this, but if you're going to use it, if you're a beginner and you think this looks cool and you like the look, yeah, feel free to use it. I'm not going to tell you what's right and wrong. I just don't like it. So there you go. That's how you warp text. One thing that a lot of people don't know is you can use free transform on text like this, and it will automatically change all your settings for, see, put it up to 173.47. It will automatically change all your settings in the text. So you're not actually losing quality because it will adjust for you and it will give you the highest quality text. A lot of people think that you have to right click and go to rasterize, which basically stops it from being text. It turns it into an image, and then you can transform it. But no, you don't have to, because then you start to lose quality. You can already see. So that's pretty much, I think, all on this row that I can teach you. That's just preferences. So I've copied that. Next is the this thing, the window for characters and paragraphs. If you don't see this, it's not here. You go to window and they're there. Character and paragraph. They're both up there. So basically what you do is these give you a lot more control over your text. You can change your font. You can change your bold, italic. That's all down here as well. You can change size, and this stuff is where you start to get a little bit more control. VA is actually, you won't even use that. Yeah, it's the kerning between two characters. Yeah, you're not going to use that. So this one you can use because, right, say you have 2 lines of text and you don't have enough room on your design for those 2 lines to be that well spaced. So what you've got to do is you've got to make them closer together. That's what this is for. You can make them closer together, you can make them further away, but usually I use it to make them closer together. And I'm just using the directional buttons. You can use this to slide it back and forth by clicking on it and dragging. You can type in, or you can click and get a couple of presets. That's one of the more useful ones. That I use that quite a lot. Then there is this one, which is the distance between letters, and you'll find yourself using that quite a lot in typography and stuff. But one of the most things that I useful for is, see if I have 2 lines and one is a lot shorter word, I'll use this to like make them the same size because it makes it a block and it looks nice depending on what design you're using. Next one is the height of each letter, so you can make them taller or smaller. You could do this using free transform, but doing it like this allows you to keep it all in one text, you know, keep it all as text on one layer. Do it individually. You can also change the width of them. So that's cool. I'm just clicking and dragging here. Then there's this thing, which I don't know what that does. I've never used that. Oh, it's just height on the line. So I suppose you'd use that for if you... Well, I'll just delete all this. If you were doing first and you wanted to put that up there the way they often do. But thankfully you don't have to get all complicated because there's loads of presets on Photoshop for doing this kind of stuff. They're all here. This is what those are. So we're going to get a thing and I'll show you a couple of them. Okay, so my recording software decided that enough is enough and shut down on me. So, boo you, Bandicam, for making me have to pay for stuff. But anyway, let's continue. I'll just edit them together Being the genius that I am. Anyway, where were we? Oh yeah, this stuff. There's bold. You know bold. Italics. Then the stuff starts to get. There's underline here. There's strike through. You know those. Right. The ones that you probably might not know. Oh, wait till I just set these all back to auto. Okay, there we are. Ones you might not know is remember when I was talking about second and third and those things? You can do those like that. So there you go. Tuttened. It's a mathematical term. You probably never heard of it because you're not as cool as I am. But then you can also put it down there like that. I don't know what that's like the power to, power of or some bollocks or whatever. Yeah. You can use that if you're, I don't know, doing something about science or maths. Yeah. I think Photoshop, Adobe had to include everybody's tastes. But then there's this stuff. So say you've got nah, this is a bad font to explain this with. There we go. So you've got Seago, and as you can see, that's a capital letter. None of the rest it is. If you decide halfway through writing an essay that you want it in all caps, you can. Yay. And then I think it's the same for this. If you make it in all caps, you can turn it to small. No. I forget what that is. Ooh. Yeah, I'm supposed to be teaching you all, but there we go. It makes it capital, but it keeps it the same size as small caps. Which, I don't know. I've actually been looking for that for quite a while. That's actually a good wee tip. You know, a tutorial's good when the guy giving the tutorial learns something new. So that's what all those are. You'll never use these things. So I won't even bother explaining what they do. They don't even appear for most of the fonts. So don't bother paying attention to those. You can change your language. I actually have no idea why they allowed you to change your language because there's no spelling corrections. I don't know. Maybe it's just for different keyboards where some languages use different letters. But I speak English, so I'm fine. And if you're looking at this video and you don't speak English, then you're probably not getting much out of it. So it wouldn't matter if I explained it or not. That's that thing as well. That's that. Don't know why that's down there while all the other ones. Anyway, enough rambling. They already cut me off once. Paragraph. You know what paragraph is. Left, right, middle. Then there's left justified, which basically means it's an awesome TV show about cowboys. Basically means that it will try to keep all the letters directly in line with each other. That's what justified means. See, you can kind of tell by the little signal for it. And then doing it to the right and left just means that if you have a line that doesn't quite make it all the way to the side, it'll state which side it'll go to. As you can see there, you can either go to the left or to go to the right. But then there's justified completely, where it doesn't matter if the word is as long as the others, it will keep it going until it reaches a new line. So you can fuck around with all these options, like how far away from the border you want, the indent on the first line, so you can do stuff like I don't know, the first line is always a bit further off than the others. Nah. All this stuff you won't really ever touch. Hyphenate is when a word is too long and it puts a hyphen to indicate that this word has not finished yet. It's still continuing. You can take the hyphen out because if there's anything Adobe hate more is good grammar. So that's kind of all the stuff you really need to know about Photoshop's text tool. It's a tool that many people think they know, but then they don't, because it has so many options that you can use, and most people don't use half of them. I mean, I don't even use half of them, and I use a lot of them. Last thing you need to know about is all the options you've got over here. I mean, you've got some of the same options as normal layers, like convert to smart option, duplicate, delete, blending options. But then you've also got rasterize type, which means to turn it into an image. Then there's create work path, which, or not create work path, where is it? Convert to shape, which will basically, create work path turns the text into a path. So you can get this tool here, and you've created a path for your out of your text. And I suppose that would be useful if you wanted to create your own custom fonts out of a pre-existing font. That's what you do that for. I mean, just drag stuff down, make like a chiller style kind of font, and then you can make your own fonts. I suppose that's fun, but I don't do it. So I don't really like working with paths because it's personal preference. Don't question me. Then you've got convert to shape, which means that it stops becoming text and it becomes a shape. And that means instead of having a path you can mess around with, you can actually just start messing around with these points and it will start mucking up the actual text itself. So that's what that means, as you can see. What else we got? I'll just undo that. And then there's all this stuff. Convert to point text, which doesn't mean much. Warp text, which was the options I showed you. Then there's all the color options that you usually get, but I'm not going to talk about those because they're not really to do with the text tool. They're more about general Photoshop functions. So yeah, that's everything about the text tool. That's all you need to know about the text tool. If you need to know more, do not hesitate to ask. I will try to help, but I'm pretty sure I've covered everything. So that is my tutorial on the text tool. You're probably bored now because it's been about nearly 20 minutes, so I will let you go away from me and stop listening to my voice if you haven't already. Goodbye, people of YouTube. Bye.